Happy rise and decline to all who celebrate. Here are the top stories for the day, Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. In Multipolar Rise news, Iran not to negotiate under Trump's ultimatum, says Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghei. Iran's Revolutionary Guards announce new maritime order in Strait of Hormuz. Wave 99. The IRGC targets U.S. aircraft carrier and energy facilities in the Gulf. Nations across Asia strike direct deals with Iran for Hormuz passage. And Hezbollah ambush kills IOF soldier, wounds dozens, and halts Israeli advance near Litani River in southern Lebanon. In Empire in Decline news, Trump threatens Iran with genocide, says U.S. will take out the entire country of Iran in a single night. Iran says U.S. rescue of F-15 airmen possibly diversion to steal enriched uranium. U.S. and Israeli strikes hit Iran's largest petrochemical complex, a prestigious Iranian university, and a Jewish synagogue in Tehran, among countless other civilian targets. Israeli strikes killed dozens of civilians in Lebanon, including Christian official. Trump threatens to jail journalist over Iran rescue raid leak. U.S. military illegally operating in Israel under tourist visas. And Israeli attacks pound Gaza, killing at least 12. And Israeli attacks pound Gaza, killing at least 12 Palestinians.
That's
despite
great.
So-called ceasefire. These are today's top stories. Please subscribe at risedecline.substack.com. And if you're able, please support by being a paid subscriber to and or sharing the Rise and Decline report.
All right. That's really funny. I'll have to fix that later. All right. Those are the top stories. You all can hear me, right? That's hilarious. It's just perfect. Okay. Yeah, let's get into this. Empire's war on Iran. Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen, everywhere. It's Empire's war on humanity. It's just the best way to put it. And you can see the line goes up. It's up roughly 73.52% over the past year. As of the time of the writing, it was 72.59, but it goes up and down. Currently, it's 73.59%. It's at 111.48 USD as we speak. To Iran. I think it's best to say that Trump is literally threatening Iran with genocide here. He says a whole civilization will die tonight. Isn't that the most insane thing you can imagine saying? He says never to be brought back again. He says, I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. Who talks like this? However, now that we have complete and total regime change, that's not true. Where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, that's not true. Maybe something revolutionary, wonderful can happen. Who knows? Get that word out of your mouth. He says, we will find out tonight. Can you believe this? One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion. You just said the history of the world, and then you just referenced 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. No, you're really threatening them with centuries of extortion and death. He says, God bless the great people of Iran. Who is he talking about? Syed Mohammed Marandi replies, we are the nation of martyrdom. We are the nation of Imam Hussein, and we will never forsake the Palestinian people. Trump threatens to take out the entire country of Iran. He says an entire civilization. A whole civilization has words. A whole civilization. Imagine talking about a nearly continent-sized landmass like Iran like this. I simply cannot. President Trump, I hate calling him president, threatened Monday to take out the entire country of Iran, said it could happen Tuesday night. referring to his ultimatum for Tehran to open the Strait of Hormuz. Quote, the entire country could be taken out in one night. And that night might be tomorrow night. That's not even true. It's not going to happen. What are they going to nuke it? Like they nuked Spain? I'll tell you about that later. U.S. says rescue mission required 155 U.S. aircraft, including 4 bombers, 64 fighter jets, 48 refueling tankers, and 13 specialized rescue aircraft. I'm sorry, what? Due to the large number of military assets having been used and destroyed in the so-called rescue mission, many are beginning to believe this was a possible failed raid of an Iranian nuclear site in Isfahan. The failed Isfahan operation. From Ahmad Nourouzi. Says after the special forces realized they'd fallen into the trap, the White House Situation Room made a critical decision. The main operation to infiltrate the nuclear site was changed into a desperate rescue operation for the dozens of U.S. commandos trapped under Iranian fire. They weren't saving one pilot. They were saving all these other commandos who were engaged in this operation to steal Iranian uranium. Allegedly. Maybe. I don't know. You don't know what happened. But when the U.S. says something happened, I don't know about you, I immediately start believing they're lying to me. And it's weird how you start to have this perfect record, and you're rarely wrong about things when you start going with your gut on stuff like this. And you go by your gut because it's historical. It has a historical precedence. They be lying. The U.S. be lying. The U.S. suffered significant material losses, says this RT article. At least 2 transport planes became disabled at a remote Iranian airbase during the extraction, were deliberately destroyed by U.S. commanders to prevent them from falling into enemy hands. Additionally, 2 U.S. Black Hawk helicopters were reportedly struck by Iranian fire. And who knows if these are the ones that were like struck by just like random Iranians running around with their own arms? Not even necessarily IRGC guys. Don't know if you saw that video of the man with his daughter. Wonder if I could find this quickly. Alright, give me 30 seconds to find this. If I can't find it, I gotta move on. Found it right away. Alright, I'll Dan, read it out loud. Okay, thank you. American planes and helicopters came into our land. This guy's not IRGC, is he? Oh, he's got a cool hat with a little pin on it. He says, and governor gave us the green light to fire. Look at this guy. Look at what he's wearing. I only wish to have a fit that goes this hard, like a tenth of this. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. This is my president. He says our governor gave us a green light to fire. And these fighter jets make weird sound whenever they come to hit Tehran or Isfahan. Oh my god. Or wherever there's always the sound. We see them sometimes. And sometimes not. We hear the sound really close. What is the sound? Is he talking about the break when they break the sound barrier? Like Mach 1 or whatever? We came outside and I saw 2 helicopters coming out from that village. The jets came in really low, and even lower than the helicopters. They were banking like this, going up. I loaded my gun. One of them was higher than the jets. When one of them came a bit lower, I fired 2 shots at it. Then I saw one of them coming really low. I did nothing until the next one. Then we fired toward the window. Right there, you could see the pilot. I shot twice at the cockpit. Is that what he said? At the cockpit? And twice at the cargo, so it would blow up. I fired 4 shots at the other one, too. And twice... where are we? Sorry. Did they see you? I actually told my family to stay inside, he says. Look at her. I actually told my family... What do you say? I actually told my family to stay inside. What's happening here? I'm holding the button. I'll get some distance from the house so that only I get targeted if they hit me. I had to shoot them. I swear I told the kids not to come. After I fired a few shots, I saw her yelling, "Dad, shoot." See, this is what happens. This happens all over the world. People be shooting at the U.S. Just regular people. And the U.S. bombs them. They bomb their entire family. And then they go, oh, it was ISIS or something. I don't know. Some other boogeyman. It didn't happen here, but he says she was shouting, "Shoot, Dad." It didn't come down. Shoot. Look at her little smile. Look at her. Were you shouting, "Dad, shoot it down"? Yeah. Why? For little martyr girls of Manab. For our dear leader. To destroy the enemies, America and Israel. Holy shit. Our dumb fucking kids are like running around like, I don't know. What do they think about? What kinds of thoughts run through their minds? Just the dumbest fucking shit. Right? These kids are like living real lives. Kids in the West are like not living real lives. It's very strange. I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it in. How do I explain this? I wish there was a poet here. So, goes, have you watched the news recently? No, I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying this about every single child here in the West. There are some parents who are raising, revolutionary-minded kids. There are very few. So have you watched the news lately? She goes, yeah, and what do you think? Why do you think it's the enemy and should be shot at? Bro. This young one has got more courage than, and like, oh my God, most adults that I know, the vast majority of adults. Holy shit. Can you believe this? Well, she's right. This is the guy who brought the Black Hawk helis down. Did he bring it down? I don't think he said he brought it down. He said he hit him, right? I'm not even sure okay, whatever. Whew. That was a roller coaster. That was a roller coaster there. And here from the Youngin says, Trump warns Iran to accept his ultimatum or face wrath of next ultimatum. And Iran here coming out saying the U.S. rescue of F-15 airmen, possibly a diversion to steal the enriched uranium. Iranian Foreign Ministry stated this. May have been part of a deception to steal enriched uranium. You can see the wreckage there. What is going on here? Remember, this uranium's not enriched to weapons capacity. Iran never was doing that. It was never doing that. It's a widely known fact. Next story here. U.S.-Israeli strikes hit Iran's largest petrochemical complex. complex, rather. Power outages and a halt to production have been reported at Iran's South Pars petrochemical facilities. There's video. Imagine living in a place like this, where just like shit's blowing up or being blown up all over the place. It's terrifying. You are privileged because you live in the West. You don't live a real life. These people do. You would want to make the people who are blowing things up, you would want to make them stop that, right? They would become your enemy. That's what happens. U.S.-Israeli strikes hit prestigious Iranian university. We spoke about this before. They hit the Sharif University of Tech in Tehran, called the MIT of Tehran, a prestigious institution. It attracts top medical and engineering students. Empire strikes destroy Jewish synagogue in Tehran. According to preliminary information, it was completely destroyed. One of the most important places for Khorasan Jews to gather and celebrate. Judaism is a legally recognized minority in the Islamic Republic, which is represented in the Iranian parliament. The fact is, Iran is not an apartheid state. The U.S. and Israel are. Monsters. A civilization built on just monster shit, you know? Of course, that's what they export. Just being demons. The Jewish synagogue in Tehran. Next story, Iran not to negotiate under Trump's ultimatums. Ismail Baghei, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman, says his country will not negotiate with the U.S. while ultimatums from U.S. President Trump continue. His statements come amid speculation about talks to secure a 40-day ceasefire. Says ceasefire means a pause to rearm in order to continue the crime, warned the Iranian diplomat. Iran's Revolutionary Guards announced new maritime order in Strait of Hormuz. The naval force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, announced the creation of a new order structure in the Persian Gulf, particularly in the Strait of Hormuz, as part of the Islamic Republic's measures in response to recent aggressions and the current state of war in the region. Under this new framework, any vessel wishing to cross the strait must communicate with Iranian Navy stations via International Maritime Radio Channel 16 as a mandatory safety requirement. Otherwise, they will share the fate of the 2,000 to 3,000 commercial vessels currently stranded in Persian Gulf waters. Trump threatens to jail a journalist over Iran rescue raid leak. He's threatening to jail an unnamed journalist who first reported the details of a rescue mission for the two crew members. It's not even, why are we calling it this? It wasn't a rescue. That's a psyop, dog. And then they patted themselves on the back for going, this rescue required massive psyops. Yeah, we know. Trump threatens to jail some journalists who first reported these details of this alleged rescue, which wasn't a rescue, unless they reveal the source of their info. We're going to go to the, I'm not going to do a Trump accent. I don't know how to. He says, we're going to go to the company, a media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up, the source, or go to jail. He's just this demonic. He's like a cartoon. He told this to reporters. He says, the person that did the story will go to jail if he doesn't say. He? But it sort of seems like they already know who it is. Then we have this amazing photo from the wreckage of these planes in the alleged rescue operation. Absolute bullshit. It says American military personnel are illegally operating in Israel under tourist visas. Look at them. They got a B2 stay permit visa. That's a visa? What's the difference between a permit and a visa? I don't know what's happening here. So here's the thing. Here from Seth Harp. He wrote the Fort Bragg cartel. He says, when he came out against the genocide in Gaza, one of Colonel Anthony Aguilar's main critiques was seemingly trivial, but actually grounded in the laws of war and national sovereignty, was that American military personnel were illegally operating in Israel under tourist visas. This shit is insane, dog. This is off the charts. And Wave 99 of the Operation True Promise Force says the IRGC targets the U.S. aircraft carrier and energy facilities in the Gulf. IRGC announced the launch of a new wave of military ops striking American and Israeli-linked targets across West Asia in response to recent attacks on Iran's energy infrastructure. It was in an official statement the IRGC said forces carried out Wave 99, underlining that the op is a coordinated response to the enemy's crimes in the attack on the Asulea petrochemical plants and part of its facilities. And if you like, we can watch some footage.
Yeah, we want to watch it. Thanks, Dan.
Yo, these videos of the missiles that they slap these decals on is insane. Wild.
بحجارة من سجيل بنام نامی مادر سادات بنام نامی الأئمة يا فاطمة الزهراء يا فاطمة الزهراء يا فاطمة الزهراء.
I love when they do that arm thing. YMCA. I am horny for this. Can I get a W in the chat? Like, let's fucking go over here. Oh, yeah. Do you guys not understand good and evil here? Like, dear Lord. You're looking at the definition of good. All right. The IRGC Brigadier General Syed Majid Musavi, commander of the IRGC Aerospace Force, announced in a video posted on his Upscrolled account the start of the second phase of Wave 99 of Operation True Promise 4, stating the war has entered a new phase with the introduction of twin-slot launchers, each capable of independently firing pairs of Fateh and Khaybar Shekhan missiles. The UNSC, the United Nations Security Council, softens a draft on Hormuz as divisions persist ahead of the vote. I believe this vote was delayed. Could be confused. So this vote allegedly faces deep divisions, and a revised draft drops force authorization, an authorization of force. A revised draft resolution aimed at reopening the strait removed explicit language authorizing the use of force. This is in a bid to avoid vetoes and secure broader international backing. AKA, what does this mean? This means that it was going to get vetoed. If the resolution said, oh yeah, you can go ahead and fight Iran to reopen the strait. They knew it was going to get vetoed. So either Russia or China was going to veto it. Like, allegedly, France raised objections as well. But I don't expect France to veto that. Reading on here, nations across Asia strike direct deals with Iran for Hormuz passage. You guys, it's not closed. Okay? It's open if you're not waging war on Iran or helping those who are. Countries across Asia are securing exemptions from Iran's permissions-based system, while Washington continues to threaten with military action. And some person says Iran weighs strategic bill to safeguard Hormuz and the Gulf security. Thinking about a new law warning that hostile vessels will be barred while allowing passage for states that coordinate. Tehran denied transit for vessels linked to the U.S. and Israeli occupation, while allowing passage for others, and is considering legislation to formalize its control. Good for her. Attacks on Iran's civilian and energy infrastructure is barred by rules of war, says a French foreign minister. Quote, in the framework of the war in Iran, they would without doubt trigger a new phase of escalation of reprisals that would drag the region and the world economy into a vicious circle. That would be very worrying and, most of all, very damaging to our own interests, Barrot said on France Info Television. To Lebanon, where Israeli strikes killed dozens of civilians, including a Christian official. Another day of intense Israeli attacks across Lebanon have left at least 36 more people killed and 209 others wounded, the majority of them civilians. Though nominally a war against Hezbollah, the attacks are increasingly targeting areas far from the front lines without even tangential relations to Hezbollah. One of the attacks, for instance, targeted the Christian town of Sadeh, east of the capital city of Lebanon. The strike targeted an apartment building, killing a man and 2 women. The man was identified as Pierre Mouawad, an official in Christian political party which is known for its outspoken opposition to Hezbollah. Mouawad's wife was also slain in the attack. – 'Cause 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 ' and 230,000 have fled Lebanon for Syria as Israeli aggression persists. Exodus allegedly includes nearly 200,000 Syrian nationals returning to their homeland and roughly 32,000 Lebanese citizens seeking safety across the border. This is according to a UNHCR spokesperson. Inside Lebanon, Lebanese authorities registered over 1 million internally displaced, 140,000 of whom are sheltering in 674 collective facilities. Terrifying. I'm realizing now the scroller at the bottom of the page was not updated. I'm going to turn it off. And to Palestine, where Israeli attacks pound Gaza, killing at least 12 Palestinians. Israeli attacks pounded targets across Gaza Monday, killing at least 12 since dawn, according to Wafa, a Palestinian news agency. One strike Monday targeted a bicycle. Someone riding a bicycle in Gaza City, killing one and critically injuring a child. Another Israeli airstrike in central Gaza killed at least 10 outside a school sheltering displaced Palestinians in the Al-Maghazi refugee camp. And Trump's Board of Peace gives Hamas a deadline to agree to disarmament by the end of the week. President Trump's so-called Board of Peace is demanding that Hamas finalize an agreement on its disarmament by the end of the week, this according to New York Times Monday, as Israel continues launching attacks across Gaza in violation of the October ceasefire deal. For its part, Hamas said it won't discuss disarmament until Israel fulfills its obligations under the ceasefire deal that was signed in October 2025. According to Gaza's health ministry, Israeli attacks have killed at least 723 Palestinians and wounded 1,990. Or rather, 1,990 since the deal was signed. And in Gaza, over 8,000 children remain missing, at least, and at least 2,100 are under the rubble. Over 8,000 children missing, 21,510 killed in Gaza after 29 months of Israeli attacks, warns the Palestinian Center for Forcibly Disappeared Persons amid an escalating humanitarian crisis. Some outside observers, and I will emphasize outside, are calling this a vast undercount. We have news that Greenpeace joining the Samud flotilla challenging Gaza blockade. On Monday, Greenpeace reported its vessel Arctic Sunrise will accompany the global Samud flotilla which will set sail from Barcelona April 12th, bound for Gaza. Greenpeace announced it will sail alongside more than 70 vessels. 70 vessels. And thousands of people embarking with the aim of challenging the blockade imposed on Gaza by Israel. And I like video, so here's a video. Give me a moment here. Gonna update the scroller. Here it comes. Right. I do have the scroller updated at the bottom of the page. Let me know if you notice any issues with that. Next story here. Who suspends Gaza medical evaluations after personnel killed in Israeli strike? Israel killed a World Health Organization driver and wounded 2 staff members in a strike Gaza Monday, March 6th, prompting the immediate suspension of medical evacuations through Rafah. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, WHO reported that since the start of the U.S.-Israeli regime change war against the Islamic Republic of Iran, beginning February 28th, 92 attacks have been recorded against healthcare facilities, vehicles, and personnel in Lebanon, resulting in 53 deaths and 137 injuries. To Saudi Arabia. South Korea is to send oil ships to Saudi Arabia's Red Sea port of Yanbu. Reports have said Saudi Arabia has activated its east-west pipeline to bypass the Iranian blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. To Asia, in China, where President Xi urges development of a new energy system for China. Isn't that nice whenever we get to talk about China? There's almost always something nice going on. Chinese President Xi Jinping Tuesday called for faster development of a new energy system as disruptions linked to the Iran conflict and tensions in the Strait of Hormuz threaten global fuel supplies. Xi emphasized the need to expand nuclear energy, quote, actively, safely, and in an orderly manner, while also strengthening the country's capacity across production, supply, storage, and distribution. The push aligns with China's broader strategy to reduce vulnerability to external shocks by diversifying its energy mix. Taiwan opposition leader visits mainland China, expected to meet Xi. Cheng Li-won is expected to meet Xi Jinping, seeking to act as a, quote, bridge for peace. This is amid U.S.-Taiwan security tensions. Taiwan's main opposition leader arrived in mainland China for a highly anticipated visit, expected to include a meeting with Xi. Cheng became a chairperson for the Kuomintang, the KMT, last year, described her trip as an effort to act as a bridge for peace, as I mentioned. The KMT. It's like the Confederates. If they won, and then went to Florida and then go, oh, this is the real China, or rather the real United States. Wild. Sri Lanka secures supplies of Russian oil. They're going to purchase crude oil from Russia after reaching an agreement with Moscow amid the energy crisis spurred by the West Asia conflict. To Korea, where U.S.-occupied South Korea apologizes to the DPRK over drone incursions. Sending UAVs beyond the 38th parallel was reckless, President Lee Jae-myung has admitted. Last week, South Korean prosecutors indicted 3 people, an employee of the National Intelligence Service, a South Korean military officer, and a graduate student, for sending UAVs into North Korea, into the DPRK, between September 2025 and January 2026. Seoul previously denied any official involvement in the incursions, claiming that had been the work of civilians. And the DPRK redemption arc remains pristine. To Asia Pacific and Vietnam, where their parliament elects To Lam as president for a 5-year term. The General Secretary of Vietnam's ruling Communist Party was unanimously elected by the country's parliament Tuesday to serve as president for the next 5 years. In his oath-taking remarks, Lam pledged absolute loyalty to the fatherland, the people, and the Constitution of the Socialist Republic. You love to hear it. Quote, he pledged to lead the revolutionary cause through all challenges and hardships towards its goal, fulfilling the wishes of President Ho Chi Minh and the aspirations of the Vietnamese nation. The presidency website reads. To Africa, in Sudan, where the African Union is returning to war-torn nation's capital, a delegation has met local officials to assess readiness for restoring operations in Sudan's Khartoum. Sudan's transitional government returned to the Khartoum in January after nearly 3 years of operating from Port Sudan amid a war between the army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, the RSF. To Europe, where EU plans austerity measures amid energy crisis caused by war on Iran that it did nothing to prevent and everything to enable. To Hungary, well, almost everything. To Hungary, where Vance, U.S. VP Vance, is to meet Orban ahead of Hungarian elections. Scheduled to meet in Budapest with Orban in show of support for the Hungarian leader just days before Sunday's elections. Orban has been in power since 2010, a close ally of Trump, with whom he maintains a close relationship. Quote, he is a truly strong and powerful leader, Trump wrote about Orban in a post on the platform Twitter, while on other occasions he expressed support for the Hungarian leader. And U.S. made explosives were used in a plot targeting gas to Hungary. So if you've been following the channel, Hungarian authorities have said that they thwarted a bomb plot to blow up a pipeline. There were explosives found near the Serbian extension of the Turk Stream pipeline, which delivers Russian gas to Hungary, where U.S.-made we have a typo here, where U.S.-made bombs were allegedly used, said the head of Belgrade's military security agency. Sunday, Serbian President Vučić announced that explosives of devastating power had been discovered several hundred meters away from the key energy infrastructure in the municipality of Kanjiza, about 10 kilometers from the Hungarian border. Had they been detonated, they would have caused gas outages in Hungary and northern Serbia, adding that he had swiftly informed Hungarian Prime Minister Orban of the development. Orban said, Ukraine. It's like, who else? It's like Ukraine and, of course, by extension, the U.S. empire. Only empire via Ukraine has the means and willingness to target the Turk Stream pipeline. Yep. They want Serbia to bend the knee. They want Hungary to bend the knee. They haven't been doing that. To the Americas, to Bolivia, where Bolivian former President Arce alleges political persecution. He vehemently accused the current Bolivian government and the judicial system of a deliberate campaign to effect his civil and political death, outlining series of grave rights violations since his incarceration began December 2025. He asserted that the executive power under the leadership of right-wing President Rodrigo Paz has systematically infringed upon his personal and constitutional rights. Here's a post on Twitter. To Canada. Canadians consider countries' accession to the EU to be positive and worth exploring. We were just... What? If these kids could read, they'd be very upset. On Monday, a poll conducted revealed a majority of Canadians consider the country's accession to the EU to be positive or worth exploring. 25 said it would be a good idea. 58 considered at least worth exploring. Only 17 said it was a bad idea. The study indicated that liberals, conservatives, and social democrats and Quebec separatists largely support considering joining the EU. Furthermore, 64% of respondents stated that the UK's departure from the EU, known as Brexit, was a mistake, reinforcing the favorable perception of European integration. We were just talking about whatever. To Cuba, where Spain seeks joint humanitarian effort for Cuba amid a U.S. blockade. Spanish foreign minister called on other nations to join Spain in providing humanitarian assistance to Cuba to counter the effects of the long-standing U.S. blockade. In an interview, Alvarez acknowledged that building such consensus takes time, citing previous diplomatic efforts regarding Gaza, Ukraine, Greenland, and Iran as examples. What? Ukraine? Despite the challenges, he insisted that Spain ultimately leads such initiatives. So you could see this guy's not exactly. Anyways, to Turtle Island, where Amnesty International defends U.S. regime change NGOs in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba. It's an opinion piece. You can find Venezuela analysis, really wonderful resource. John Perry and Roger Harris tackle Amnesty International's disingenuous defense of NGOs with a history of involvement in regime change efforts. Amnesty's new 95-page report in Spanish with an English summary criticizes governments across the political spectrum for attacking what it calls civil society organizations. But Amnesty ignores the history of many such organizations and therefore why governments might be justified in closing them. Quote, there are a few fields that are as penetrated and corrupted by intelligence services as NGOs, says Alfred de Zayas, former UN independent human rights expert. And on this day in history, check this out. On this day in history in 1966, a lost U.S. nuclear bomb is recovered. If you think that's bad, wait for this. After Empire accidentally fucking nuked Spain. This is known as the Palomares accident. The accident occurred 17th of January, 66, when a U.S. Air Force B-52G bomber collided with a KC-135 tanker during mid-air refueling. This is over the Mediterranean Sea, 31,000 feet. This is near the Spanish village of Palomares in Almería. Am I saying that right? In the province of Almería. The collision destroyed the tanker, killing all 4 of its crew members, caused the bomber to break apart, resulting in the deaths of 3 of its 7 crew members. The B-52 was participating in Operation Chrome Dome, a Cold War airborne alerts mission involving continuous flights of nuclear-armed bombers. Wait for this. At the time of the accident, the B-52 was carrying 4 thermonuclear bombs. 3 of the bombs fell on land near Palomares. The conventional explosives in 2 detonated upon impact, dispersing the plutonium. So I guess they didn't set off the nuke, but they just it exploded and then it just sprayed nuclear material all over the place, right? 2 of them blew up and sprayed nuclear material around. The 4th fell into the Mediterranean, was recovered intact after an extensive 80-day search involving the U.S. Navy, including the use of submersibles. It was a huge operation. It was a tremendously big operation. That's fucking insane. So maybe it's not accurate to say that they nuked Spain, as in they didn't, like, the conventional weapon went off, but not the nuclear device. Does that track, everybody? Does everyone makes? Yeah. It's a dirty bomb. They dirty bombed. That's a better way to put it. I'll edit it. And that's that. That's the whole rise and decline report. I'm not going to get used to reading off the whole thing every day. It takes a tremendous amount of energy just to put together the report and do a voiceover for the top story headlines. But I for some reason felt inclined to do so today. Folks, thanks again. Thank you everyone who's ever supported my content. Thanks to those of you who are currently supporting my content here on Twitch. Big thanks to those who are subscribed on Patreon. Even bigger thanks to those who support on Patreon or who have decided to support different ways. PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, I don't care. Really appreciate you. If you're not able to support, with your monies, it's really, really important to help me grow. I'm stalled out at about 28, 29 subscribers, and you can subscribe for free on Substack. And you can help me to grow on Substack by sharing my content. If you're not on Substack, you can find, like, and share my content on just about every other social media platform, except for Reddit, where I'm banned. Yeah, just hit the reshare button. I share them everywhere. And if I'm not currently sharing somewhere, let me know and I'll try to do so. All right. Thanks for joining me. Feel free to pop in the chat here on Twitter, on the great Dan. In Discord, and let me know what your thoughts are about the news or about other stuff. I really hope you've been enjoying this sort of this change in format of things. I think it fits my lifestyle a little bit better. And at the end of the day, I get to inform. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. I get to inform myself, and I get to inform others. But mainly, I have to inform myself if I want to pretend that I can begin to inform others. Am I wrong? Praise be to Allah. Can you believe he said that on Easter? Incredible stuff.